and I'm just gonna, okay. So welcome to everybody that's joining today. So far, there's quite a few of you that have joined on, and some of you are on camera, some of you are not. And yeah, I think I have got the tech today. So last week we tried to stream this onto Facebook, onto the Bridging the Healthcare Gap Facebook. And I don't know if a couple of you saw that I was doing a test this week. And yeah, it was a very interesting test. I've now deleted it, but it seemed to be doing there seemed to be a lot of mirror neurons at play, because it was repeating and repeating and repeating to me. So I'm not doing that. I'm streaming it onto my page. But so what we are going to do today is we are going to continue on from last week. And last week we were starting off just making some space in our body for energy to flow. And I'd explained to you that I work quite hard. We all work quite hard, and I get quite tired as well. And I actually last weekend I was working nights over the weekend, and often by the middle of the week it's nice to just regroup and meet and refresh our energy. And I had, it was lovely to get, to meet, for so many people to join last week. I think we must have had about 40 on the call, and nobody obviously on Facebook, but some of you watched the recording as well. And I had some emails from you, and one person specifically asked for some energy exercises to balance the thyroid. Now I'm seeing a particular person here looking, and it's a Dr. Petri from Romania. And you just missed a very good class with her and her colleague, Roisin Devoy, on balancing hormones last week. And I think it went really well. So I'm sure they'll probably repeat it, but they did cover a little bit of the thyroid. So if any, I'm keeping that poll up. If you can have a wee look at the poll, and we'll have a look at that later on. But yes, some of you are standing up and you're ready to start. So first of all, we are going to just review a little bit of what we did last week. And I started last week with an exercise that I was taught through the yoga practice that I had done called shadow yoga. And I was told it was called Pawan Muktasana. And actually last week I thought, I'm going to look up and see what Pawan Muktasana is. And I apologize, it's not the correct name for it. That's the name that I was told that it was making space in the joints. But when I looked up for Pawan Muktasana, I think that's just, it's a form of yoga. So how that started off with was, we just started off with hands on our thighs, and just grounding ourselves, centering ourselves, taking a breath, imagining breathing in through the soles of our feet. And that energy is traveling up our body, and we're breathing in through the top of our heads. So the energy is coming down through our body and out of our feet, and then connecting to the earth and bringing that energy up as well. And we started just with some very gentle stretches in our 4 rolls in one direction. Just do it very, very gently. And then 4 rolls in another direction. So we're opening up the joints. Often energy gets stuck in the joints. They're tight junctions, or areas where energy can get constricted. So that was the first one. And then I'm going to add on another exercise, because I explained in a little video that last week we did the belt flow, and that was helping energy come from the top of the body round to the bottom of the body. But we're going to go with what is called the tide flow. And we're just going to bring our hand to the side of our neck and just bring it down and across, off, and then to the other side, stretch and off. I'll tell you a funny story. When I thought about this, I thought it was the THAI flow and taught from Thailand. until I realised this was Donna Eden, the inner source, had named this exercise to go along with the belt. So it was a TIE flow. So just being gentle over our neck, making some space. And this is like, another constriction at our neck. And we come to our shoulders. I'm rolling mine back 4 times. And breathing and smiling. And then bringing it forwards. Doesn't have to be 4 times. Then we went to our elbows and bringing energy in, first of all. Replenishing ourselves. Keeping our center. Before we bring energy out to the world. And then last week, I don't think we did this. We're just going to clasp our hands together and we're going to roll our wrists in one direction. And then we're going to roll them in the other direction. And by doing that, that's making space, in our wrists and our one of the meridians that's involved very much with our hormones is our liver meridian, and that controls the sinews, the joints, muscles, and tendons in our body. So by doing this, that really helps make space for energy to flow. We can also just pull down in between the tendons of our hands and just pull off our fingers. Again, just making some space. And again, the other hand, pulling off. Space. This is no particular, well, this is something that's been passed down for thousands of years, so no particular method or technique that I'm sharing with you. Just something that we did as a warm-up in my yoga class. So, and then we're going to go to our belt flow. So that's directly behind the navel. We're going to a point called the Ming Men, and that's a gate of destiny in Chinese medicine where the soul comes in and enters the body. So we're going to come round, roll around here from the Ming Men right round to the front 2 or 3 times, and then down and off the opposite leg. Squeeze at our feet and come off our feet. We'll do it another time on the same side. Off the foot. And then back. The other side and off. And then Madison King's got her nice Maddie's belly scoop. So we're at the Ming Men here. Let's give it a little bit of a bounce. Give it a weight. Then just coming round and off. Round. Off. And I'm not going to do the full amount here, but we're coming then to our hips. And you can either move your hips in a figure of 8 or in an anti-clockwise and then clockwise circle. Just very, very gently. So 2 or 3 or 4 times in one way and the other way. Then down to our knees. You're wondering why did I say we're doing thyroid and we're down at our knees, but we're just making space in our body. And then turn. So 3 or 4 times in one direction, and then in the other direction. So I've got the top of my foot on the floor. If you can manage to do that, then you're rolling round your ankles. Okay. So the thyroid and managing stress. Now, we're not going to cover that all in 15 minutes, but we're going to learn a couple of little exercises that might help. One of the first ones is just aligning us to the center of our body by putting our fingers into our belly button, pushing in and pulling up, and our fingers above our nose, and the third eye, and pushing in and pulling up, and breathing. Bringing us back into the midline, back into our center. This is an exercise that you can do at any point in the day. You can do it lying in bed, at night time, in the morning, at any time. And then I'm going to go to the crown pull. So putting our fingers into the center of our forehead, pushing in and pulling apart. Pushing in and pulling apart. We're coming up to the midline, so that's a sagittal suture here. And we're pushing in and we're pulling apart. We're just making some space in the cranium there for energy to be able to come down and off the body. It's the middle of the week and it's time we made space, even if it's just at the weekend. Then I come down the back of my neck and push in and pull apart. And push in and pull apart. So as far as the thyroid gland itself is concerned, thyroid gland is like a little butterfly in the center of our neck. It's just below our Adam's apple or our larynx. And we've got our little tiny parathyroid glands, and that are just behind the back of the thyroid. The thyroid gland is so important for our metabolism of our body. And the metabolism of our body and the metabolism of our stress. Now, it's a remarkable organ, and it's also responsible for, well, it's part of the throat chakra, which is managing, our communication. So we see it as this little butterfly, and just really giving some love to the thyroid gland. We can just give some figure of eights. And breathe. And smile. And breathe. And smile. We could also just pinch over the area. Just very tiny little angel finger pinches. Maybe we're just making space there for energy to flow. The meridians that are involved with the neck, a lot of them are the yin meridians. So that's the female, the yin and the yang. So the yang is more the outward, the active process, and the yin is more receiving. So the ones that we know of already from the 4 thumps last week is I showed you the stomach meridian. And that's, I saw Sue at the beginning of today, just like this. Her hands over her stomach meridian, her hands over her jaw. And just this energy, grounding, energy of trust. We know that we're going to trust that our provisions will be there for us, trusting in the mystery of life, trusting in that the universe will provide. So the stomach meridian comes from our cheekbones down, round our face, down through our neck, through our collarbone, down through our breasts, down the side of our body, and then down the sides of our legs and off our second toe. And then the kidney meridian, if we come down to our second toe, and if we can't reach there, we can imagine it, or we can be sitting down. If you come to the bottom of our feet, between the big toe and the second toe, and that's the beginning point of the kidney meridian. And the kidney is very important with our thyroid gland as well, because the kidney is about movement of fluids in our body. And there's nothing that moves faster in our body than our hormones. The thyroid gland is so important as far as giving messages to the other hormonal glands. So we're going to come from this place under the bottom of our feet. And if we can just hold there for a couple of breaths. And then we come up the inside of our feet. We circle behind our ankle. And then we come up the front of our legs, up the front of our body to this little point I showed you last week, an inch down and an inch out from our collarbone. And we don't have to tap it if we don't want to. We can give it a little bit of a rub. We can give it a tap if we would like, or we can just hold it. And one of the lovely ways to hold it is just to hold it here, and maybe holding over the womb area or over the prostate if you have one. So that's balancing the stomach meridian and the kidney meridian. And we also mentioned the liver, and what we were doing was we were just freeing up some of the ligaments and muscles. And also we've got our spleen meridian. Those that know a little bit about meridians, our spleen is very much about metabolism. It's very much about how well we nurture ourselves. So I'm doing a mixture of just tapping, or give it some nice little figure of eights. We can also start here. This is the end point of the spleen meridian. We can come up to our armpits. We can come down the front and inside of our abdomen, well, that's towards the outside, sorry, and then down the inside of our legs, and then to our big toe, and just hold. And then we're coming up that 3 times, and that's going forward along the spleen meridian. And spleen's very much about how we nurture our energy, how we look after it. And our thyroid is, as well as is very much about our body's metabolism, and that's involved with our temperature regulations more from the hypothalamus, but it's metabolism of all the processes in our body. And I mentioned spleen, but what balances with spleen is our triple warmer, our fight, flight, survival system, and that's related to the work of to our adrenals, and that's basically it's keeping us alive. So a lovely way to bring balance to that system is a little exercise called cover your eyes. So we rub our hands. And this exercise brings in a few different systems, and I'll explain them to you as we do it. So we rub our hands, we shake them off, and we put our hands over our face. Take a couple of breaths here. You don't have to have your hands touching your face. And then I'm going to stretch, turn my hands over, I'm going to stretch over back at the forehead. I'm going to come up, over, around the back of my ears. Come down to my shoulders, hang on the shoulders. Breathe. and smile. Breathe and smile. And then we come down to the sides of our breasts, or the side of our chest. Then come back down the front and front of our abdomen, the sides of our legs. And then we squeeze if we can on the big toe and the little toe. Take a couple of breaths. And then we come up that friend, our spleen, we come along the inside of our feet, up the inside of our legs, cross over the hips and up. And this time we're going to stretch out to the edges of our aura. And there's just probably one, so what that exercise does to cover your eyes, we worked here, we're making some space. We worked around the back, tracing down triple warmer backwards. And then we ended up bringing in a little bit of the regulator flow, which is one of the extraordinary meridians. It's another name for it's a yin way. And then coming down to our feet, we're squeezing, that's also helping with our regulator flow. And we're coming up spleen. So the more that we can, so our regulator flow, and that's just a name that Donna Eden has brought to the yin way flow. That's about how we can help regulate, help cope with change. And that's what our thyroid does, is it helps regulate the processes in our body. And when it becomes out of balance, we know that we either can get an underactive thyroid, an overactive thyroid, and how that can play absolute chaos to our energy levels and to our system. And some people also have had a thyroid cancer, or have had to have surgery to their thyroid. But the thyroid's so much more than just about our metabolism. It's about it's sitting in the middle of our throat chakra, which is our fifth chakra, which is about our communication. So a lovely way that we can work with the throat chakra, and I think my pussycat's going to come up and see if she can demonstrate this as well. She's making a little bit of sound, so I don't know if I can quite manage hers. But we've got our throat chakra here, and I'm just going to stretch. I'm going to stretch the middle of my neck. Okay. So I can do that 2 or 3 times, just very gently. And then we can go to the right side of our neck, stretching 1. And then this is the third chamber. The one on the side is the fifth chamber. Then over to the left, second. Fourth. And the sixth. So the fifth chakra is an amazing energy conduit, because it basically takes the information from the sixth and the seventh chakra, and then the first, second, and third, and fourth, and it integrates it all. So by again going back to doing this figure of 8 over our thyroid. And a couple more exercises I've got, and this is probably one that you know already. It's the connecting heaven and earth, because we rub our hands, we shake them off, we rub our hands again, we put our hands on our thighs, and we take a couple of breaths. We bring our hands up to the sky. We come down the center into Anjali Mudra. Take a couple of breaths. So I can't not mention this here because Stephanie Mines has joined us here. This is called the Pam Inju in Jin Shin Tara. And Stephanie tells us it's important to have as much as we can of our palms touching each other. Then we stretch up to the heavens and just feel that stretch in your neck as well. So we're actually stretching our spleen meridian. We're stretching our neck. We're involving our liver meridian. Coming back down to the center. Stretching back up and then looking down again. And then looking up. Looking down. A couple more times. And then come back to the center and then bend down, touching our toes if we can, taking a couple of breaths. And then doing lots of lovely figure of eights. So figure of eights help us with our communication, help us protect our energy, help fill our biofield. And these have been in no particular order at all. Yes, that's nice. That's who Sabine was doing some nice big figure of eights, which is lovely. So I'm finishing off with the Wayne Cook exercise. So we've got our hand, I think we did this last week. So our hands in front of us, turn our hands over, palms touching each other, then bring our hands up into our center. We're crossing our legs. If you can do this sitting down if you prefer. And taking about 3 breaths. We bring our hands out, we cross them the other way, we bend them up, we open our legs, we cross them the other way. So what this does is, and we talked about this last week, it helps with information to cross over. So it helps the corpus callosum as the bridge between the right and the left hemisphere. Imagine that, seeing that thyroid gland as this little butterfly with 2 different lobes and that little constriction in the middle. We're wanting information to pass from one side to the other. In every part of our system. So that every little cell of our body is well. Then our thumbs to the bridge of our nose. People up our fingers. Then bring our fingers back here. We'll finish with this crown. Fingers into the middle of our forehead. Push in, stretch. Push in, pull apart. Push in and pull apart. Now I'm going to see if I can end this pull and do it again. So at the beginning, I'm not sure if you can see in chat, at the beginning of, I'm not sure if you saw the poll. I was wondering if I can run this poll again. That's maybe being a little bit too optimistic of me, but let's see. No, I can't do that. So hopefully that was just, as I said last week, I'm trying to keep these nice and short to, half an hour. And as I said, we can learn a little bit about how to balance our thyroid, how to make space in our body, how to balance our energy in this short period of time. But really what it is that we're making space in our body for energy to flow. And thyroid is so much involved with our metabolism and our communication of our hormonal systems. So we're working with our spleen, our liver, our kidney meridians, and also the stomach, which is coming down the front of the body. And no exercise, no session can be complete without covering the most beautiful radiant circuits, strange flow, or in Stephanie's system, they are called the rivers of splendor. So Jasmine, I'm delighted that that was a direct message to me, but I hope you don't mind sharing. You said last week that you weren't feeling well, and it's been really helping you recover from COVID. So Madalena, thank you. And anybody who would like to unmute, you're more than welcome to unmute and say hello. I was going to be properly multitasking and have my phone, so comment to people on Facebook, but I'll do that later. I've just got those on Zoom in front of me, and it's great if anybody has been able to pop onto Facebook as well. So if anybody would like to unmute, they're welcome to. And if you don't, well, I would just say have a really lovely rest of your week. And I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday for our Energy Wednesdays. I've made this commitment to run it over, I mean, I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, so I'm running it over the summer. And yeah, we'll just continue sharing the love and being here. So thank you, Stephanie, for joining.
Pleasure. Thank you for giving me a tune-up while I'm in the middle of traveling.
Oh, right. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ria.
Thank you, Claire. Wonderful to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Lovely to see
Thanks, Marion. Lovely to see you, Eve. I'm glad you got on.
you. Yes. I'll let you know. Bye.
You good luck. Yeah.
Thank you, Claire, for a lovely session.
Oh, thanks, Madalena. Well done with yours.
Claire.
Bye, Sue. See you soon. I'll do a catch up for us all. I think that's needed. So.
Yep. Thanks a lot. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. And bye, everybody on Facebook. Thank you.